a company into distribution business can use ERP next for managing their operations. So let's assume we are a distributor. We have a super stockist of mobile phones from whom we purchase mobiles, and we are distributors. So our customers are retailers, right? So we'll be mainly covering sales and purchase cycle in this session. And to make it more comprehensive, we'll also try and cover how you can use serialize and batch inventory in your ERPNix account. So this is a simple website generated from my ERPNix account, which is this. So I'm logged in as a system manager in this account. We'll have to set up a couple of masters, like we have item master, we have customers, and we have suppliers. Then we have price list and warehouse. So these are the basic masters we need to make transactions as a distribution company. So let's check the item master first. In the item master, I have added couple of items already. So this is one of the item. In the item master, you can also attach an image. You can add more properties. You can have detailed description of that item, and then you can also set default warehouse for that item. Now here we have a has batch number and has serial number field. So let's check has serial number field, and if we check this field, then it will ask us to define series for the naming for the serial number. LNV dash 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 dash. If we set this series, then following this series, it will generate serial number. So a brief on serial number. Let's say if we purchase 10 units of this item, each unit will have a unique serial number assigned to it, right? So if we are purchasing, or generally in the case of distributors, serial numbers are already assigned on each unit. So perhaps you can use that. So if you want to use serial number which is given by OEM, original equipment manufacturer, then you should leave this field blank. So let's save this serial number, this item, and let's check another item. Let's say this is the another item which we buy and sell. So let's activate has batch number for this item, right? And we can also set reorder level for an item. So if you want to prevent stockouts in your business, you can define reorder level for this item, right? So let's say if stock for this item goes below 20 in any of these warehouse. So this is the group warehouse and this is the child warehouse. Since we have a tree structured warehouse, so you can define reorder level for the group as well as for the child. So this is the warehouse master, wherein you have parents and then you have child. So in the item master, I have to first define a group warehouse, and then I can select one of its child warehouse, right? So here I have selected group as well as child warehouse, and I have defined the reorder level and reorder quantity. So whenever stock goes below 20 in this warehouse, or in all the warehouse combining in this group, it will create material request automatically. So here you can also define if material request is created, what will be its purpose? Will it be for purchase, transfer, or the other options we have? So you can also use reorder level as a distributor, and then we have purchase detail section is purchase item and stuff. If you have a default supplier for this item, you can also select that default supplier is sales item. So for the distributor, both these properties is purchase item is sales item will be checked for most of the items. Then you can also specify item wise taxes if you have a different tax applicable on different items. And manufacturing section won't be useful for this for the company to distribution business, so it's not required. Now let's check how to update opening balance for the serialize and batch items in ERPNix. If it was a simple stock item for which you don't maintain stock based on serial number or batch number, you could have simply updated stock opening stock using stock reconciliations, wherein you would have selected both the items, say Lenovo and Samsung. It's opening balance, quantity, posting date, and save and submit. So that's pretty simple for the stock item which is not non-serialized and non-batched. But if your items are serialized and batched, then for them you should update opening stock using stock entry. So in the stock entry, I'll select status as material receipt. I'll select target warehouse, say stores, and then I'll select items, say Lenovo, and then another item will be Samsung, right? Then I'll update the opening stock for both these items, say 5 quantity, and for Samsung Galaxy it will be 8 quantity, for example. And now, since we are updating opening balance, we also have to provide a basic rate, which will be considered as a valuation rate, and valuation for this item will be updated based on the basic rate you provide here, right? So let's say it is 5,500 for this item, and for Samsung it is 34,000. And apart from this, now we also have an accounting, we have account. So since we are updating opening balance, we should select this account, opening, temporary opening. So to learn why we select the temporary account for updating opening balance, you can check relevant help video. So with a difference account, you can also select the cost center, and then we can save and submit this, right? So now we should receive some validation related to serialized and batch wise inventory. So serial numbers required for serialized item Lenovo case 6. Now since this item is serialized, we will need to provide serial numbers for it, and then only we'll be able to submit this successfully. So let me enter random serial numbers here for now. So since we have 5 quantity, we'll need to update at least 5 serial numbers here, right? So I hope this all the serial numbers will be unique. So since we have 5 quantity, we have updated 5 serial numbers here. And then this item is batch item, right? So to be able to submit this, we'll need to create a batch, right? So to create a batch, we'll go to new batch, and then let's say 001. It's for Samsung Galaxy, and its expiry date it's say 2019. So now that we have created this batch, we can select this in this opening stock entry. So we for the serialized item we have entered serial number, and for the batch item we have specified the batch ID. So let's save this and submit this. Right. So on submission, what it has done, it has updated, it has created serial numbers in the backend. Right. If I can close this, and if I go to serial number master, I'll see that it has created these 5 serial numbers. Right. And it has also updated the stock entry details with valuation rate. Right. So now we have updated opening stock for this item. So this is how you can update opening stock for the batched and serialized item. Let me quickly show you how to update opening balance for the normal item. So we can quickly make a new stock reconciliation. We'll select the posting date. So posting date will be when the opening balance for this item will be updated. Let's say you want to update it on 1st of Jan, and then you can select item from here. Say 1 plus 3, for example. This is one option. Stores. What was the quantity? 15. So some stock already exists for this item, so that was fetched automatically. So that is one option. The another option is you can simply select the warehouse here and click on update, so it will fetch all the items. Let me remove all these. uh, 3s will select stores warehouse. Quantity is say 50, and its valuation rate is say 6,500. Again, you will select temporary opening balance here and one of your cost center. So we can save and submit this. So now this, since this item is not a batched or serialized item, you can quickly update its opening balance using stock reconciliation. Right. So this is what we have for updating opening balance. After this, now we can check how do you manage purchases. So in the buying module, you have some masters like suppliers, supplier type, address, contact. So we have some suppliers already available, we can use them for making transactions. And then we have material request. So these are the transactions. So purchase process generally initiates from material request. You can have material request made by employee manually, or you can also make it yourself. So let's say there's a material request for 10 quantity of this item, and it is needed by this date, and say where you can select this item. Say you need 3 quantity by this date. And so let's save this. Now you can have material request made manually, or you can also have material request created automatically based on reorder level of an item. So if and stock level for an item goes below its reorder level as defined in the item master, then you will have material request created automatically. And you can also define this in the let me check where it is defined. Okay, not in the buying settings, but in the stock settings you can define it. So let me go to stock module and see stock settings. So in this stock settings, you should check this property: raise material request when stock reaches reorder level. And you can also check this will notify by email on creation of automatic material request. So when material request is created, system will trigger an email to a user who has purchase user or purchase manager role assigned to their profile. They'll be informed that system has automatically created material request because reorder level for items or some of the items went below its specified reorder level. Right, so we have material request now.
This is Shrikant.
Yeah, hi Shrikant.
Yeah, just one query. When you do stock entry or when you do stock reconciliation, are these both methods used for opening the stock? I mean, is it equivalent methods or there are some pros and cons of using either of these methods?
uh, no, I mean, this is the tool. We have standard tool for updating opening balance of items, and apart from updating opening balance, you can also use this for correction. So if you had companies do reconciliation from time to time, right? Let's say in middle of year I do a physical stock take, right? And in stock take I find out that the system is saying 50 quantity, but in my warehouse I have only 45. So to make those correction also you can use stock reconciliation.
Is there any preferred method, whether we should do stock reconciliation or whether we should do stock entry for doing the opening balance?
Stock reconciliation is preferred, but stock entry will do the job. But stock reconciliation is more designed to cater to that requirement.
Okay, thank you.
So we have a material request, and let's see. So this is in draft now. We can submit it, and once it is submitted, then we'll find option to create purchase order or request for quotation or supplier quotation against this. So let's assume that we are going to multiple suppliers and asking them to submit their quotations. We can create request for quotation against this material request. So this is the date, and we are requesting the supplier for providing us a quote. Right, for now, the context doesn't exist for these suppliers. So let me check if I can add one very quickly. Okay, and let me add contact for. Okay, so the another feature we have is is a supplier portal, and that's the reason I created contact for these suppliers. So let's say we submit this quotation, and how we can have supplier access our ERPNX account and submit their quotations. So for now, and now since the email will be sent to suppliers, you can also send the standard reply here, and you can also set the template. So you just need to select the template and the content will be fetched. You can have standard terms and condition being fetched here. Okay, so for now we don't have any supplier specific terms and condition, but you can make one selected in your transaction. So let's save this and let's submit this. Okay, so once we have submitted this, in here you won't see anything in the print format, any details of the supplier in the print format, because there are multiple suppliers. If you want to generate supplier specific print format, then you should click on the supplier and click on this button, download PDF. So it will download a PDF wherein it will also update the supplier name and date. So you can send this specific request for quotation to the supplier. So this is one option. You can email it to your supplier, and then supplier will send you quotation outside ERPNX. Now, if you want to invite these suppliers to the suppliers as a user in your ERPNX account, as a website user, then you should add them as the website users. So let's check contact master for the supplier, and in here we have a button invite as a user. So what system has done, system has added them as a user as well in this in your ERPNX account, and then you can assign them a role. So role assigned to them is a supplier, right? And same way we can also invite this other contact as a user. So the system has automatically added this as a user, but I think we'll have to set password, because these email IDs doesn't exist. This is just for the testing purpose. Okay, so let's assume that we have sent the quotations to request for quotation to this contact. Now, what if these users log in to our ERPNX account? So we had Robert at morbi.fn, and this was the password. So we have logged in as a supplier now, and in when we log in, we see this request for quotation, and in here we are seeing the request for quotation we made for this supplier, right? Wherein we mentioned this quantity as 10, and for this item we mentioned this. Now what supplier has to do? Supplier has to provide their rates. Say this supplier is quoting 6,600, and for this item this supplier is quoting 8,700, right? So you'll get the grand total. He can enter some note that say okay 10% in advance. Okay, in the ideal case, what would have happened that when we submitted, when we added those as a user, supplier will receive an email carrying a link, and when they click on that link, they will be able to set a password, and with login ID and password, they will be able to log in just like they have logged in now, right? So this is about the supplier portal, and if their email ID was tagged in supplier position, then they will be able to see that as well. So this is the one they just made. They just provided quotation on this RFQ. So supplier quotation was generated, and then you'll be able. They can also add the address and other things. So it will be added in our ERPNX account as well. So let's log out for now, and let's log in as a system user, right? So now if we go back to that request for quotation, so this was the request for quotation we made, and here it is indicating that one supplier quotation is already submitted, and this is the supplier quotation. So this is what we submitted as a supplier. So we logged in as Robert in this ERPNX account as a supplier, and gave this code 6,600 and 8,700. So we got the quotation, and it will be in the draft mode, so you can review and then submit this. Right, and since system didn't find these rate for these item on saving, it automatically created and added these rate for these items. So we have supplier quotation, and same way, if let's say if another supplier gives you quotation, let's say this supplier gives you quotation outside ERP next, then you can create it manually as well. Say this supplier gave you another quote. Say he quoted you 6,700 and 8,800, right? So we can save and submit this, and then you can compare both the quotations given by the supplier. You can make a report on supplier quotation and evaluate which quotation is more favorable. So looking at the amount, we can say that this quotation is more favorable, so let's go ahead with this, and we can convert. So we are placing order with this supplier, so we can convert the supplier quotation into purchase order. So purchase order will have all the details related to suppliers, address, contact, etc. will be fetched. You can change the currency if needed, and then rates will be fetched from the supplier quotation. If needed, you can apply